everyone, and welcome to Intimate Portraits. This is where we bring some of history's greatest personalities back to life for a stimulating and intimate conversation. Today, we have an extraordinary guest, a man whose name is etched in the annals of history as the ruler who rebuilt the Roman Empire, expanding it to proportions that mirror the empire of centuries before. And he was a staunch defender of Orthodox Christianity, Emperor Justinian of the Byzantine Empire. Emperor, it's an honor to have you here.
The honor is mine.
Your Majesty, let's start at the beginning. Tell us about your early life and how you rose to power.
Of course. I was born in 482 in a small village in Illyria. My uncle Justin rose to prominence in Constantinople, becoming the emperor. As his nephew, I had the privilege of receiving an excellent education in theology, law, and military strategy. When my uncle passed in 527, I succeeded him. It was both a blessing and a burden to inherit such a responsibility.
You are often remembered for your ambitious goal to restore the Roman Empire. Could you tell us about that vision?
To understand my vision, you have to know what the Roman Empire was like at the heights of its glory. There was a time when Rome was the most powerful empire in the world. At its peak, its territory stretched from Europe to North Africa and as far as Asia. It was my dream to restore the glory of the Roman Empire, a dream I called the Renovatio Imperii, or restoration of the empire. With the help of my brilliant generals, Belisarius and Narses, I launched campaigns to reclaim lost territories.
We have all heard about the might and power of the ancient Roman Empire. Can you please remind us what caused it to break apart?
The breakup of the Roman Empire was occasioned by several things. But the main reasons were the invasion of various outsiders, the Visigoths, the Vandals, and other Germanic tribes. They all came to Rome or invaded parts of the empire. The western half of the empire was overrun long before the eastern half, so the division of the empire, and especially it being in the hands of invaders, was a great concern to me. Internal struggles were also to blame for the breakup of the empire. There was infighting, power struggles, and deep religious divisions. These all led to the fall of Rome. But I was determined to restore the eternal city, albeit with Constantinople as its heartbeat. I did succeed in taking back parts of North Africa, Italy, and even parts of Spain. These victories were hard won, but they brought us closer to the unity and glory the Roman Empire once knew.
Remarkable. But of course, you didn't achieve this alone. Your marriage to Empress Theodora played a significant role in your reign. Can we talk a little about her? How did you two meet?
Theodora. She was the most beautiful woman I had ever met. Besides her beauty, she was intelligent and politically astute. She was my equal, if not my superior, in so many ways. She was a partner in my deliberations. I met her through a dancer who worked for me, and I loved Theodora from the day I laid eyes on her.
She was a big part of your life, but it has been recorded that when you decided to marry her, the laws had to be changed. Tell us about that.
Yes, Theodora was of humble origins. In fact, she was an actress. In those days, someone of my class couldn't marry a former actress. She was just too far beneath me. But when my uncle saw how determined I was to have her as my wife, he changed the law so we could marry.
How did she influence your rule?
Theodora. She was my greatest ally and partner in all things. Despite her humble beginnings, she was one of the most intelligent, courageous, and resourceful people I have ever known. She advised me in many matters. Her strength was most evident during the Nika riots. While many counseled me to flee, it was Theodora who reminded me that emperors do not abandon their thrones.
The Nika riots were a pivotal moment in your reign. What happened, and how did you manage to retain power?
The riots broke out in 532. They were sparked by factions of the chariot racing teams. What began as a simple grievance escalated into a full-blown rebellion. For days, Constantinople burned. Over 30,000 people died, and many called for my removal as emperor.
Chariot racing teams caused the riots. Please explain to us how this is possible.
To understand the riots, you have to understand what the city was like at the time. Constantinople was divided among chariot racing teams. The two major teams were the Blues and the Greens.
That sounds similar to our political divisions today.
Indeed, so the supporters of the racing teams lined up on the side of the Blues or the Greens, and each team was a mixture of people from all categories of life, that is, ordinary citizens, politicians, hooligans, you name it, and your success or failure was linked to the chariot team you belonged to. I myself was a lifelong supporter of the Blues. Now at the time, we were at war with Persia. As you can imagine, the war was costly, so I had to increase taxes to support the war. No one likes to have to pay more taxes.
Wasn't there also a grievance about two men from both blue and green teams convicted of murder that you pardoned?
Yes, I pardoned them, but people didn't agree with that. Tensions were high then. Everyone was angry about something. So I thought it was a good idea to hold the races. It would have been a way to bring the city together. It certainly did that, only they united against me. In a rare move, when both teams were in the hippodrome, the crowd began shouting Nika. Nika, Nika, that means conquer.
They were chanting for you to be conquered.
Yes. I had never seen anything like it. I left the hippodrome immediately and went to the palace. The rioters, I imagine, were encouraged by the fact that I ran away, and they rioted for days. My advisors told me to leave, that I should flee the city. They even had a ship ready for me. But Theodora's resolve gave me courage. She said she would rather die an empress than live free in exile. I'll never forget her words to me that day. She said, "I shall never be separated from the purple, nor shall I live for a single day if those who encounter me do not call me mistress. For me, the old saying is best, power is a splendid shroud." Well, her words brought me back to my senses and made me realize that I was the emperor, and I was not going to allow hooligans, thieves, and murderers to chase me out of my city. I ordered Belisarius to lead the imperial guard into the hippodrome, where the rioters had gathered, and he quelled the rebellion for me. It was a bloody day, but it saved the empire.
Bloody day indeed. Reports are that you, as a supporter of the Blues, paid off the blue team members gathered in the hippodrome, and after they left, your generals moved in and slaughtered the green team. The man tipped to be the emperor if you did leave the city was executed, and those who supported him were sent into exile. Why did you have to do all that?
My lady, what would you have done? Think, if you were the ruler of a city that rebelled against you, wouldn't you do all you could to silence dissension?
I see. Following the riots and the destruction of the city, you embarked on a massive rebuilding campaign. Your architectural achievements have become legendary, especially the Hagia Sophia. Tell us about that.
The Hagia Sophia is my crowning achievement. After the destruction of the city, I saw an opportunity to rebuild Constantinople as a beacon of faith and imperial strength. The Hagia Sophia, with its grand dome and ethereal beauty, stands as a testament to our resilience and devotion to God. When its rebuilding was finally complete, and I saw it for the first time, I was moved to say out loud, "Solomon, I have outdone you."
Your Majesty, you also introduced sweeping legal reforms with the Corpus Juris Civilis. Why was that so important to you?
The laws of Rome were fragmented and outdated. I commissioned the Corpus Juris Civilis to organize and codify them into a clear and just system. In all fairness, I wasn't the one who started codifying the laws, but I completed it.
Indeed, you will be happy to know that your law coding system is still in use today by countries all around the world. I want to turn very briefly to another tragedy that came to Constantinople during your reign, the Plague or Black Death.
Yes, it was one of the most difficult things the city ever had to endure.
It is the first record of the Black Death that we have in history. You, Emperor, was one of its victims.
Yes, the plague touched my house. I suffered greatly, but with God's help, I survived. You know, even as I lay sick, some plotted and schemed how they will rule the city after my death. It was Theodora again who held everything together until I recovered.
She was a remarkable woman.
Yes, she was. You should talk with her one of these days.
Indeed, I would deem it an honor to speak with her. Despite your years of marriage, you never had any children with Theodora. How did that make you feel?
It's always a blessing to know that there is a part of you that is left behind after you are gone. So I understand how desirable children can be, but Theodora was enough for me. I never had a place in my heart for anyone else. We were fine without children.
After her death, you never remarried. Didn't you want an heir?
As I said, Theodora was enough for me. I lived the rest of my life alone, waiting to see her again.
Looking back, how do you want history to remember you?
I want to be remembered as a man who sought to strengthen faith, restore unity, and ensure justice. I was not perfect, none of us are, but my intentions were always for the greater good of the empire and its people.
Thank you, Emperor Justinian, for sharing your incredible story with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
That was Emperor Justinian, a ruler whose legacy continues to influence us today. Thank you for watching Intimate Portraits, and remember, if there is someone from history that you would like us to talk to, please let us know in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.